The wind over the high desert sounded different that evening, like it carried a warning. Old rancher Daniel Cutter felt it before he heard it. A tightness in his chest, a prickling along his arms, the unmistakable sense that something was about to go terribly wrong. He stood by the corral fence with dusk settling behind him, eyes drifting toward the mountains where the sky burned orange and red. Daniel wasn't born Apache, but he was raised among them. Adopted as a frightened 12-year-old boy by Chief Taz's family, he owed every piece of goodness inside him to the people who had sheltered him, fed him, and taught him to become a man of honor. The Apache didn't just save him, they made him whole. And among them, Naira, Taz's granddaughter, had become the closest thing to family left in his life. She was fierce, wise beyond her 20 years, and stubborn as desert thorns. But she had a gentleness Daniel admired, a belief that every life, even the life of an enemy, held value. Many called her too soft. Daniel knew better. Soft hearts build strong worlds. That's why the scream struck him like a bullet. A woman's cry, echoing across the range, sharp, terrified, then hooves. Fast, too fast for friendly travel. Daniel dropped the feed bucket and ran toward the sound, instinct sharpened like flint. His boots pounded against red dirt as he crested the ridge near the old riverbed. That's where he saw it. A wagon tearing away through the chala brush, kicking up clouds of dust. 3 outlaw riders flanked it, bandanas over their faces, rifles strapped to their backs. And in the back of the wagon, Naira, her wrists bound, a bruised cheek, her eyes wild with fury and fear. Daniel's world shattered in a heartbeat. The cutthroat gang, he recognized them instantly. They'd been terrorizing ranches for months, stealing cattle, kidnapping women, demanding ransom. But they had made a mistake tonight. They stole the wrong Apache woman. Daniel's pulse steadied, not with panic, no. With purpose. A cold, unwavering purpose that hummed through his veins like a storm about to break. He turned back toward his ranch, toward the barn where an old black stallion paced and snorted. Shadow. A horse as scarred and stubborn as Daniel himself. As he saddled him, Daniel wasn't thinking about vengeance. Not even about justice. He was thinking about family. And family doesn't get abandoned. By the time the moon rose, silver and sharp over the valley, Daniel Cutter, known across 3 territories as the gunslinger who never missed, was already riding into the darkness. The trail was a jagged one, filled with broken terrain, cactus patches, and rattlesnake shadows. But Daniel knew how the cutthroat gang operated. They liked abandoned mining camps, remote water holes, and canyon hideouts. Anything where lawmen couldn't reach them fast enough. He tracked them by lantern glints, hoofprints, and the faint wail of a terrified woman carried on the wind. Hours passed. The desert grew colder. The stars sharpened like needles. And then, he found them. Hidden deep inside Skull Canyon. Daniel crouched on a stone ledge overlooking the campfire where the gang had stopped. Their voices echoed up the canyon walls. "We'll hold her till sunrise," the leader grunted. "Her tribe will pay anything to get her back." "She ain't worth trouble," another man muttered. "Apache women fight like wolves." "She's worth what we say she's worth," the leader snapped. "And her tribe's got plenty of silver in those mountains." Daniel's jaw tightened. Naira fought like a wolf because she believed in protecting her people. Because she had a spine built from courage, not cruelty. And because she knew that goodness wasn't weakness. Daniel's fingers brushed the steel of his revolver. He could kill all 3 men from where he stood. Easy shots. Clean. But Naira wouldn't want that. Blood spilled in anger stained the land. That's what her grandmother used to say. And Daniel had tried to live by that, even when life made it hard. Instead, he whispered to the wind. "I'm bringing you home, Naira." Without a drop of blood more than needed. Shadow snorted quietly, as if answering the vow. Then Daniel saw something that stopped his breath. Naira, still bound, was kneeling near the fire, but she wasn't scared. She was talking to the youngest member of the gang, a thin, jittery boy no older than 17. His eyes were filled with guilt and confusion as she spoke softly, her voice steady like running water. Daniel couldn't hear the words, but he knew the tone. Compassion. Even here, tied up, injured, surrounded by men who meant her harm. Naira was showing kindness. Daniel felt something inside him shift. Maybe the greatest strength a person could have wasn't the power to fight, but the courage to be gentle in a violent world. There That realization didn't stop danger, but it changed Daniel's plan. He waited, watched, studied every move, and at the first hint of dawn, a faint blue glow rising over the canyon lip, he moved. Silent as a ghost, swift as a mountain cat, the first outlaw went down with a single punch, collapsing before he could even grunt. Daniel tied him up using the man's own ropes. The second spotted him and swung a rifle up, but Daniel kicked it away, slammed him against the canyon wall, and pinned him until he passed out cold. The leader grabbed Naira and pressed a knife to her throat. That was the wrong move. Daniel dropped his gun to the dirt and raised both hands. "Let her go," he said quietly. The leader sneered. "You ain't got the distance for a clean shot." One step closer and he didn't finish, because the young outlaw, the boy Naira had been speaking to, stepped forward. His voice cracked. "Stop. This ain't right. She ain't done nothin'." The leader spun toward him in rage, and in that split second, Naira twisted away, rolling across the dirt as Daniel lunged. The knife clattered. The leader fell. Daniel held him down, breathing hard. But he didn't throw a punch. Didn't draw a weapon. He simply said, "You can choose to be better than this." The leader stared back at him, stunned. No one had ever offered him mercy, especially not a man who could have killed him where he stood. When Daniel finally let him up, the man stumbled back, dazed and silent. Naira rose to her feet, brushing dirt off her dress. Her voice was soft. "You came for me." Daniel met her eyes. "Family always comes." She stepped closer, her face illuminated by the pale light of sunrise. "You didn't kill them," she whispered. "You could have, but you didn't." Daniel shook his head. "Killing men who've lost their way won't bring goodness back into the world. But showing them mercy might." Naira smiled, a slow, proud smile. "You've grown," she said. Daniel exhaled. "I learned from the best." And together, as the first gold rays of morning spilled across the canyon walls, they began their journey home. But the story wasn't over. The sun blossomed over Skull Canyon as Daniel and Naira walked side by side, shadow trailing calmly behind them. The desert had a hush to it, like the land itself respected what had happened at dawn. A rescue carried out not with bullets, but with restraint. With intention. With humanity. Daniel had always known how to fight. But today reminded him that the rarest strength was the ability to hold back. Naira limped slightly, but she waved away his concern every time he tried to help. "I am fine," she insisted. "A bruise cannot break a spirit." But Daniel noticed her wince each time her foot hit a sharp stone. Without a word, he knelt and lifted her onto Shadow's back. She frowned. "I can walk." "I know," he said, tightening the reins. "But you don't have to." Those simple words, they softened her. For once, she didn't argue. As they rode out of the canyon, Daniel noticed the young outlaw boy lingering near the camp's edge. He held his hands out as if surrendering to the rising sun. His eyes followed them, filled with something Daniel had once known well, shame mixed with longing. Longing to be better. Naira glanced back too. "His heart is not lost," she murmured. Daniel didn't reply, but he tucked the thought away. People rarely became monsters on purpose. Most were just boys who'd been given the wrong map in life. The journey back toward Apache land was long, weaving through dry riverbeds and silent mesas. As they reached a small spring at midday, Daniel helped Naira dismount. She sat on a shaded rock, dipping her wrists into the cool water. Daniel knelt beside her. "Naira, what did they want?" Her jaw tightened. "Silver. They think my people hide mountains of it. And do you?" He teased lightly. She shot him a look. "You know better." He smiled. "Just checking." Her expression softened, but a shadow lingered in her eyes. "Daniel, they waited for me. They knew exactly when I would be alone." A chill threaded through him. "They targeted you." "Yes. That changed everything. This wasn't random. Someone tipped the cutthroat gang off." "Do your people know?" he asked quietly. She shook her head. "I told no one." Daniel stood, pacing slowly around the spring. "Someone wanted you gone." Naira watched him with steady, dark eyes. "It does not matter now. But it did matter. If someone inside or near the Apache village betrayed her, the danger wasn't over." Daniel pressed a hand to his forehead, his thoughts a tangle of worry, suspicion, and something even heavier, anger. Not the sharp kind. The quiet kind. The kind that filled you like cold water. Naira read him easily. "Do not carry this alone," she said gently. We will learn the truth. He nodded. But the knot in his chest remained. They rested for an hour before continuing. By late afternoon, the land shifted from harsh stone to softer plains. Smoke from the Apache village rose peacefully in the distance. Naira exhaled. Home. But Daniel's relief was short-lived. A rider approached at full gallop, dust trailing behind him like a comet. When the rider saw them, he pulled his horse to an abrupt halt. It was Koa, an Apache scout and Naira's closest childhood friend. Naira, Koa shouted, sliding off his horse. His voice trembled. You're alive. Thank the spirits, you're alive. He grabbed her hands, almost shaking. Daniel stepped back to give them space, but something about Koa's panic felt strange. Too frantic, too staged. Before Daniel could examine the thought, Koa turned to him. Cutter, thank you. Thank you for bringing her back. Daniel nodded curtly. But Naira tilted her head. Koa, why are you outside the village? You were supposed to be guarding Elder Taza. Koa froze for a fraction of a second. Barely noticeable, but Daniel caught it. I came to look for you, Koa answered quickly. When we saw you were gone, we feared the worst. Naira accepted the explanation, but Daniel's instincts prickled again. Something didn't add up. And when Daniel's instincts whispered, they were rarely wrong. Koa insisted on escorting them back. But the more Daniel observed him, the more unease gathered beneath his ribs. Koa rode too close to Naira. Interrupted her often. Asked too many questions about the kidnapping, details he shouldn't know to ask. Daniel stayed silent, listening. By the time they reached the village, the entire community rushed out to greet Naira. Elder Taza, her grandfather, clutched her to his chest, whispering prayers of gratitude. Daniel stood at a distance, letting the family have their moment. Taza approached him soon after, gripping his forearm. You have returned what is precious to us, the elder said. You have repaid a debt that was never owed. Daniel bowed his head. She is family. Taza's eyes softened. You will always be. Yet even as the villagers celebrated, Daniel noticed Koa slipping away toward the far side of camp. Leaving too quickly. Avoiding too many eyes. Daniel's suspicions sharpened. Later that evening, as the village prepared a small welcome feast, Naira found Daniel near the edge of the riverbank. She sat beside him, her voice warm. You saved my life. He shook his head. You saved the boy's life. Maybe even the leader's. You changed the course of 3 men this morning. She smiled gently. We both did something important. For a moment, they sat in quiet companionship, watching the river roll like liquid bronze under the setting sun. Then Daniel spoke. Naira, I think someone set you up. Her smile faded. Who? He hesitated. Koa. She stiffened. Koa. He would never. He knew too much, Daniel said softly. He knew where you'd be. When. And he showed fear before he saw you, like he expected something bad to happen. Not hoped to prevent it. Naira stared at the water, her face unreadable. Daniel, she said after a long silence, there is something you don't know. She turned toward him. Koa asked me to marry him last month. Daniel blinked. Marry him? Yes. And I refused. Her voice was steady. He did not take it well. He said, he would not let anyone else have me. Daniel felt the temperature around him drop. Naira, he said carefully, I think he gave your location to the outlaws. She didn't argue. She didn't deny it. She only whispered, I fear you may be right. Their eyes met, heavy with the truth they were both now forced to face. Koa wasn't just jealous. He was dangerous. And this wasn't over. Not even close.